Okay.
I came here almost exactly 20 years ago with a husband and a daughter for a 1 year kind of sabbatical, just to see what it would be like to live in Paris, which was sort of our dream, and never left. And that's how it happens to a lot of us, I think.
And then what led you into the real estate business?
Oh, that's a very longue histoire. One thing kind of led to another, and it was primarily when I was working for International Living and I opened their Paris office, and their publication, their readers wanted someone who could help them find property and make investments, and so I put together a team of people to do that. That was in 2001, so obviously a long time ago, but I had already, done a lot of groundwork, so to speak, with other projects I had. But real estate at the time was really brand new to me.
You'd not done any real estate work in the States?
No, nothing other than my ex-husband was a contractor. He built houses, and that was about as close as I got.
Now, I've seen you a lot of times on the HGTV program, House Hunters International. How did you make that connection? And tell us how that's developed and how it's worked into your existing business.
That simply started in 2006, where the producers were looking for various agents and for storylines, and they came to me and I said, yes, I can do this. And that was the first show I did. And then it was actually a couple years later before I did another show. Then it seemed to mushroom, almost like a snowball rolling down the hill. And now, as I understand it, I do most of the France shows. I do more shows than any other agent that they have in the international group. And it's become almost a partnership with them in a way.
I think it's interesting that you've found the customers looking for a wide variety of places. I mean, from the multi-million-dollar places, which there are a lot of here, to some of the rentals, and you've been able to find places for all of them.
Well, yeah, because there's a very large range of clients. There's everything from the little guy who has a small amount of money to invest, who just loves Paris and will do anything to have his pied-à-terre, to the really big investor who sees a bigger picture, and in today's world, it's a way of bringing money out of the U.S. and putting it in a euro asset without it being in a bank account.
And there are problems with those, as anybody who has had a bank account here understands.
Yeah, exactly.
And now you've recently expanded your operation into Nice. You're working to develop that into the same kind of market Paris is. Where does that stand?
Well, Nice just started as my little love because Paris is gray most of the year and the Riviera is sunny most of the year. But I also saw a need for the American market there that seemed to be lacking. And so this gives me an opportunity to enjoy time in the South, work with clients there, build a bevy of apartments. I'm trying to do the same thing in Nice that I've done in Paris with the rental apartments. And it's just a lot of fun.
It's a nice place to be, isn't it?
Yes.
What other areas of opportunity do you see in France? Are there any other geographical areas that you see outside of Paris and Nice that you think you might want to exploit?
Not yet. Other than possibly Provence. Americans love Provence. It's a really beautiful part of the country, and that could have some possibilities, but for the moment, I have enough on my hands. Thank you.
Are you seeing as much American interest in Paris real estate now as there was, say, before the recession? Did the recession have any impact on the American interest in Parisian real estate?
The only impact that the recession had was really not so much on the interest, but the ability for Americans to actually make investments because they simply didn't have the money. And now that the economy has improved and their investments are back, so has their level of interest.
Now, what advice would you give today to a middle-aged American who thinks from vacations here that he or she would really love to live in Paris? How should they go about it?
Ooh, that's a big question. Well, if they're really interested in living here full time, then they need to do all the due diligence before they make the big plunge. I highly recommend that they come for what's called a 3-month dip to just test the waters and learn what they need to learn before they actually make a full move over. But I think life here can be really great, and I think that once you do come over, it's almost impossible to go back. Back is regressive. So once they make that move, they pretty much better plan on being here the rest of their lives.
We have friends who say exactly the same thing. Of all of the things, of all the pies you have your finger in now, which one do you think has the most potential for future growth?
Oh, that's a very good question. Part of the problem with that is we don't really know what's going to happen with the rental laws in Paris, which at the moment are stringent, unconstitutional, unruly, and impossible to comply with. And so we're hoping that something's going to happen on that end that will make it better for everybody. We still see sales. We're still seeing, foreign investors in property in spite of some of the other regulations that have made it a little more difficult. So it's pretty hard to tell as long as this administration is in place. When that changes, which is sure to happen at the end of Hollande's reign, I think things are going to loosen up and there will be more hope, if nothing else. Yeah, I've been writing a newsletter called Parlez Paris since 1998. Then I added another one called French Property Insider. And now because I go to Nice, I write one called Parlez Nice. They are sort of like memoirs, except that they're not really about me. They're about the reader, so it's about how my experiences benefit the reader. And they have a nice following. The people I think who read my newsletters are people who have a deeper interest in Paris and in France, who want to really feel like they're not just, low-level tourists, so to speak. And for me, it's absolute pleasure to write them. I get to express myself. I learn a lot about what's going on myself just through the research of it. And I have to have those few hours every day to just express the way I feel about living here.
Now, where will they find you on the web?
AdrianLeeds.com. Pretty easy.
What could be easier than that?